Real Talk is proudly sponsored by Y-Wave P20 Pro and MTN.
Good evening and a happy Friday to you at home. Welcome to Real Talk with me, Azania Mosaka. My guest tonight is a comedic legend in his own right. His first stand-up show was in 1998, featuring very controversial subject matters, which led to his fast trajectory to fame, and it made people in the comedy world take notice of his comedic genius. His regular cameo role as the little brown cow, who can forget that character, on the Fat Joe show in the early 2000s catapulted him to even bigger heights. He's the co-founder of the biggest comedy show in the country, Blacks Only, and arguably a key player in opening the industry up for black comedians. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David Gau to Real Talk.
How are you?
Bona. How are you doing?
My first time here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good to have you. Does the couch feel good?
It's okay. I can lean on it.
Yeah, don't get too carried away.
It's all right. It's a real couch. It's not like a set fake couch, right?
Yeah.
It's not like boxes underneath.
No, it's the real deal. It's the real deal.
Okay.
David, all these years in the business, 20
years. Yeah.
How many jokes have you written?
A lot. Enough for everyone.
You get a joke. You get a joke. You get a joke.
A lot, eh?
Yeah.
Some I've forgotten. Some people remind me when I'm in the streets. But luckily, I've recorded almost every single show I've done for at least the past 15 years minimum.
I see. So it's those early years where you
Yeah,
have
even
actual
18 years
footage.
actually. So I've got from small tapes to the big ones to now digital stuff and full HD.
What do you mean small tapes? You're talking...
From when you used to have like a little camcorder with a
those.
small cassette. So I've got those, which I guess I should digitize them at some
There are people watching right now that are like, what?
Oh yeah, the cassette, it's a video camera. It's a manyalo. You know the video cameras for the weddings that everybody used to put your hand in the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
fantastic.
I've got lots of
that
them.
you archive these.
I've got lots of, I don't think anyone has more stand-up comedy footage than I do in this country.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at least it's preserved.
Yeah,
But-
and of other people as well. So
But you grew up in Kronstadt.
Kronstadt and that's the same town with Tebo Mahlatsi, Fana Mokoena, Terale Kota, Winky Direko, all these people, amazing people. Most of them, my family, my uncles, came from that town, you know.
So how are you all treated in Kronstadt?
Oh, me, I don't know about other people. I mean, I had that Christmas party for like 13 years in Kronstadt, like 5,000 people, started at my mother's house. So for me, that was a lot of love, definitely, which I might do again this year, just to continue celebrating the 20 years and the 40 years.
Yes.
Yeah, 40-20, I call it.
Ah, because we share a birthday.
Yeah.
We share a birthday. And you turned 40 this year.
I turned 40.
I'm a year older than you, but we've celebrated before,
Yeah.
so our audience at home is sitting with pretty much similar people on stage.
Yeah.
But when you were growing up, what were you imagining that you would do one day? Because comedy wasn't, I think, top of mind for many of us.
So I grew up in that time when I was in Standard 2, grade 4.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a doctor. Standard 9, grade 11, I was going to be I was going to be a civil engineer. But then I didn't know what a civil engineer does, so I switched to electrical engineering. So I went to Pretoria Tech 95 after matric, bridging maths and science, trying to get ready for, and I met Tony Goroge, or kind of used to see him, and Tsepo, who used to be Tlarantlhope, Tsepo Maseko.
Yeah.
They lived in the same block of flats where myself and Kagiso actually met. So this was 95. And they were studying drama at Pretoria Tech.
Great.
So I applied for drama there secretly because I started thinking maybe this is an option, right? Because I had applied for engineering at UCT. So one of my uncles, Kaunyana or Moses Kau, who used to work at UCT at the time, changed my application to drama. And he was the one person that I thought is going to be like, what is this drama thing that you want to study? So
Yes.
secretly I applied to Pretoria Tech to study drama
Right.
without telling my family.
Yeah.
Because I still had electrical engineering application at UCT. And then I was called for auditions. Myself and Kagiso auditioned. Out of like 2,000 people, there were like 21 of us who made it into
That's
UCT Drama School
incredible.
that year. But I dragged Kagiso to these auditions. So when we arrived at school in January in '96, he had applied to study architecture. So he fell a year behind me because he actually didn't apply for drama. But we went to
drama.
all the auditions,
Yes.
beat all the other people, were chosen 21
Do you remember
out of
what did you audition?
2,000 people.
Do you remember what
I
you
did a
wrote?
poem called Black Man, You Are On Your Own.
You read it. You performed. the
I
poem.
performed, I knew the lines at the time.
Yeah.
So, and then there's group auditions.
Come, recite it for us. Recite it for us.
I just remember, black man, you are on your own. Fight, fight. Those are the,
That's
was a
what
short,
got you
it was
into
a very
drama
short
school?
poem. No, it was a very short poem. Well, there was like a scene that you do or that they
Okay.
give you, then there's a poem, and then you get called for second round, which is a group audition.
Okay.
So we would travel from Pretoria to Noord. Then we didn't know that was Noord. So only years later, I figured, this place, myself and Kagiso used to go from Pretoria to there, from there to
Yes.
Wits. So
Yes.
the UCT auditions were held at Wits at the time. And I figured this must have been Noord, where we used to travel. So literally, you know, me and Kagiso, it's been since
That's interesting. That
1995,
Mr.
96.
Catching Feelings,
Yeah.
Matwetwe, that he
The Pure
almost
Mnati
became an
show
architect.
we came up with in 1997
Yeah.
when we were still studying at UCT. But only 6 years later, it got on SABC 1.
Jeez.
Yeah, so we pitched it somewhere, it was thrown in some document or box. 6 years later, Khomotso Matsunyani and Sivan and Romeo Kumal was then SABC 1 programs manager or
Right.
station manager. Someone basically found this thing. I think Kamsila actually found this thing in some box, literally in some pitch box from years ago. And then we got a call. By then I was on the Fat Joe show. I think Kagiso had started being the sports guy on the Fat Joe show as well after replacing Leo Mane. So we were now both in Joburg. And then we got a call and we got a Pure Mnati show.
That's
So,
incredible that
yeah.
this pitch
Yeah.
had sat there
Oh,
for
yeah.
all these years, and then for it to just be selected when
Yeah.
content was needed.
So I wrote
fortuitous.
the entire pilot episode of the Pure Mnati show back then. I started doing stand-up and I had a little polo player.
But don't cheat us out of the story of how you started doing stand-up.
So, okay. So to graduate out of UCT Drama School,
Yes.
this is now 98, my third year, Kagiso's second year, you have to write your own one-man show. So whatever it is I wrote was funny. I wasn't trying to be a stand-up comedian. I never wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I mean, I didn't know any.
Yeah.
And someone saw that and booked me for the Smirnoff International Comedy Festival then, which was 1998 October, where I was the only black comedian out of like 44 comics, 30 internationals, which is where I've met like Russell Peters, Jimmy Carr, Gina Yashari. That's how I've known all these people for so long,
Right.
you know, and I'm still friends with most of them today.
So it came out of the material you needed
It came
to
out of,
pass
I
at
have to
UCT.
pass, I have to write the play. Silo Maki Kangube was like external examiner, you know, when he was still at Chimuroka with the dreadlocks, with the small,
Black
short,
man can
short
flick.
dreadlocks.
Did I just see a black man flick?
And I was afraid to even talk to him.
Yeah.
You know, you can imagine Silo Maki Kangube in 1998, 97, 98.
Generations Days,
Yeah.
huge.
And he was an external examiner. And Akin was graduating, Akino Motoso
Yeah.
was in his third year when I was first year. And he was graduating and he was about to go to Isitingo with Rapulana and Tony Khoroge. Because Isitingo was about to start or was starting. So I've known Akin again for like now 20 years, pretty
Incredible. I
much.
just love these stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely love these
and
stories.
whatever he does, I try and be part of it, try and be an associate producer or be in it or just be an extra even if I have to be.
Yeah.
You know, so Akin, Tony was the reason I wanted to be an actor, Tony Khoroge. Or I started thinking maybe for a living, I can be an actor. So now the plan became to be rich and famous, right? When you get to drama school, you can't even go to an audition, you're not allowed. So the fortune part starts going out the window because
Yeah.
we realize you're going to do theater, you're going to be trained in theater. It's 3 years, you can't even go to an audition.
So the question
yeah.
of making the fortune
Oh, no.
came back
Well,
with comedy.
not really, because even then, I mean, my first gig at that festival, I was paid 200 Rand a night. But it was the most money I ever made.
You'd ever made. Well, we'll come
Yeah.
back to all those stories and the Pure Monate show and the success that it had. Well, we're coming back with more with the funny man after the break. Stay with us on Real Talk.
tlhatswedile le mpereba ka dikuku
Nna ke a ditlhatswa, nna ke le teng.
matute kae matute monna matute o na le bophelonyana bo bongwe man
O na le girlfriend?
o rata bashimane
Matute. Mara o itse one fence mos.
ga ba o furitše
O rata bashimane? Tse ke nana ebile o na le ruma ko sekolong, ba rona ke netse Mrs. Standard 3.
yo a ke di itse dilo tsene
Nna tse ke re ke ruma. O sena matute o itse ba nrata.
matute o ba lena wa fola
O dumedise o re ke re happy new year. O re nono a re happy new year.
Welcome back to Real Talk. We're having a chat with the incomparable David Gau this evening. So, David, it was a case of meeting the right people at the right time, being at the right place. So,
Then
a lot
I
of luck
didn't know.
in the early parts of your career.
Yeah, so then I didn't know, because
Yeah.
everyone was 20 years ago in their life and careers, right? But Akin was this actor in drama school, because he was in this play called Sunjata. Akin was pretty much
It's a brilliant piece of work, actually.
the best actor in drama school when I got there, right? And very respected by lecturers, students. So he was the one person we all looked up to, especially us arriving and being black in UCT drama school at that time.
Yeah.
So he's literally been like a brother. You know, he made God is African.
Yes.
So that's when I met Hakim, Kai
Kazim,
Kazim.
yeah.
So all these relationships were kind of built there. And now it's people, everybody's friends with everyone. You know, you
Yes.
don't know each other, you meet at a function, and especially celebrities or famous people. But some of us go back to 20 years
Before the
ago.
fame was
Yeah,
there.
before anyone was famous, before anyone had money. I mean, Akin was the only black person who had a car at UCT Drama School, but it was also from his dad, you know, an old Toyota Corolla. So when we weren't getting a lift from him, or the white students were not going our direction back to Res,
Yes.
I've walked the highway from UCT Drama School, Hidden Campus, to my Res, Clarendon House, back in Grooterschuur Hospital,
Wow.
along the highway on
Yes,
Duval
the
Drive,
bus.
because that was the only route I knew, because that's the route the bus took. And this was 11:30 at night.
Wow.
Myself and Waruna Siani and Sibalo Fenger, who was my acting classmate at the time. Because there was one night where no one was going that way, and you know, people were going for drinks,
Sure.
and there were no buses and transport and stuff at the time.
But now, I want to understand this latching onto comedy.
Yeah.
Because you have all this drama
Yeah.
experience. You've developed a TV
Yeah.
show. The content was fantastic,
Yeah.
clearly, as we saw with the success of the Pure Monate show. You wanted to be an electrical engineer after the civil
Yeah.
engineer part. So, comedy,
Yeah.
how do you then
So-
develop a love for it? How do you develop an interest in it when it was never really something that was in your radar?
So the acting kind of part and the dreams, I guess. So myself and Kagiso wanted to make movies before we even knew or before we even became comedians. We wanted to make movies. So we started writing ideas and blah, 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 you know. And I wrote, so before I went to UCT, I wrote storylines when Michael Jackson used to be Pepsi spokesperson.
Yeah.
So I wrote commercials which had Michael Jackson in them. And I sent them to Saatchi and Saatchi. And based on that, they called me for an interview and offered me a job. But for me to get back to them, I pretty much had to decide if I'm going to UCT or if I'm going to Sachi and Sachi. So this is now when I'm like 16 years old, or 15 years, or
Jeez.
whatever, I don't know, 17.
Over, yeah.
But the time they were taking to come back to me, it was those, tomorrow you must get on a train and go to UCT, you know, or you don't and you wait for these people. So I said to them, look, I want to go and study.
So the universe.
So the
had other
writing and the
plans, you could have
making
been
pictures.
elsewhere. You could have been in advertising,
and
but doing similar work, as you
Yeah.
say, pictures telling stories.
Yeah, and at the same time, I wrote to Universal Pictures and be like, yo, I've got these ideas. And they replied back to me. And Skagiso, when he makes fun of me, he says, I used to walk around with this envelope that was from Universal Pictures, had their logo, because they had replied to me.
Everyone had to see.
And I used to carry it everywhere I went.
Yeah.
No, there was no comedy in the picture. Not for me, not for him.
So what do you think then?
So-
Because now I'm starting to think that perhaps you are more of a storyteller, filmmaker, businessman
Yeah.
before comedian.
So the comedy part, this is where, so I had to do the play to graduate. Anne Davis, who was, I think, at SABC commissioning at some stage, she was our classmate in drama school. Pretty much people started thinking we're just clowns, you know? So we weren't the perfect Shakespeare people or the Molière students at drama school. So when there was like those Stockfells things where you join at varsity in a week when everybody joins and never shows up,
Yeah.
and Davis thought, let me call these two clowns to perform at one of these things. So our first ever performance, myself and Kagiso, lecture hall, desk, like the front desk, on the desk, no stage, basically making people laugh, or the other varsity students. And that's where our careers in stand-up comedy started, as in literally standing in front of people and making people laugh, right? Lebona Mayema was in one of those societies. He ended up being head of the channel at Mzansi Magic when it started. So he was one of those people who called us for some society thing at UCT. Can you guys come and perform here? And then I ended up in the comedy festival, and with a producer who produced it at the time, Sam Hendrickse. So for me, once I was on stage, it was late, you know. Ever since then, I've never done anything else in my life.
Yes.
Because for a while, I just did stand-up. So I would sleep during the day, I would watch TV, I'd do like 3-4 gigs a
In a
month,
week.
and I'd be good for the month. I'd do 10-15 gigs in a September, and I'd be okay till like April next year, money-wise.
Wow.
So I did nothing.
Comedians get
and,
paid that well?
I mean, this is then when I had my polo play and my course. This is like 16, 14 years ago. At least I was. Myself, John Flesmas, and I was still getting less than what John Flesmas was getting, what Barry Hilton was making. Barry Hilton was doing the 3,000-seaters all over the country. So when I started, my first corporate, I got like 1,600 bucks. But it was a cancellation that John Flesmas was getting 7,700 rand for. Yeah, this was my first corporate. So I got 2 grand less commission.
And now,
This is 98, 99.
wait, David, let's go there. So then there was a discrepancy, clearly, right? And I know that in entertainment in general,
Yeah.
different people will be negotiated with
Yeah.
differently.
Yes, yes, yes.
So how is this discrepancy today? Because clearly there was a gap
Yeah.
between white and black comedians.
Of course. I mean, John Flesmas was on Live at 5. John Flesmas was the first ever stand-up comedian I met.
Yeah.
Or other comedian I met. He was on Live at 5 with Candice Derman.
So is it just down to years
So,
and experience?
Experience, popularity,
Okay.
and just demand. You know?
Right.
I think Mark Lotring was also starting out when I was starting out. Riyad Musa was doing medicine, comedy, so we started at the same time. But one year he'd be out of comedy. The father would be like, finish your medicine, then you can do
Okay, yes.
stand-up or
But
magic. or
do you
whatever.
come from a funny family? Where does the
I've
humor
got,
come from?
my family is funny, I won't lie. Particularly one uncle, that uncle, there is that uncle in the family, very funny, but only when he's been drinking, sadly.
Does that count?
It does, because when he's sober, he's not as funny, or he's a little bit quiet when he's sober.
Yeah.
But as soon as he starts drinking, hilarious, right? But just my family in general, there's a lot of humor. And I think just going through whatever families go through. We get through that a lot with
Through humor.
through humor.
Is
yeah.
there a lot of alcohol dependence in comedy? Now that you
Well, I don't drink, I don't smoke. So
Yes, you don't,
Yeah.
but I'm saying in general, because you are at the back. Some people might turn to it to ease their nerves or
You know
to
what?
be funny.
It's for me. It's access. So whether you're a soccer player, a comedian, or an actor, everybody's arrival or success for me started looking like, finally, I've got this money. I can buy or start drinking this alcohol. I can start buying myself this alcohol. So I don't think it had to do with people needing it. So you look at a lot of people now. Most of them don't drink anymore. Or some have stopped doing drugs that they were doing. Some were doing drugs, I didn't even know they were doing drugs.
Yeah,
You know, because
yeah.
I didn't even know what cocaine looked like. So I don't think it's dependency. I think
It's
people
access.
develop it based on the access that they have.
All right.
It's rich people problems. If
Oh.
you're not. I'm in the industry. Because when you don't have the money, you're not. It's like people only drink when there's free alcohol. But
Well, I'm
they
enjoying
drink.
the insights, David, because after this, I want to also explore a little bit more about comedy, your father, your fatherhood for you, and of
Yeah.
course, being married. So make sure that you stay with us as we go into his personal life. Comedian
Whoa.
David Gau on the show. Welcome back to Real Talk. If you've just joined us, we're in conversation with comedian and businessman David Gau. So, David, you are the father of two beautiful, it's three? Congratulations! So how young is the youngest one?
3 months. 4 months on the 15th.
Oh, wow.
4 months now.
That's beautiful. So
Yeah.
born in our month.
March.
Oh, just
15th
before that.
March.
They didn't make
So
Aries.
15th March,
Yeah.
Omari. Aliyah, 18th July, Mandela Day, she turns 6. Deo, 4th December, he will turn 10 in this year in December.
Right.
So the third one was a nice surprise.
Nice surprise.
Yeah.
Did you have to learn to
was.
say nice surprise?
He's just, you must see him. Aw, he makes my day, you know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, my kids keep me going. My wife and kids keep me going.
I've seen you with them.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a gentle guy, as is.
I try.
Yeah, but even more so with
Yeah.
your
No,
children.
I think they softened me up a bit as well, especially my daughter. So I think even my stand-up, I used to be very hardcore, and I think I kind of toned down a little,
Yes.
especially after my daughter was born. And then now I'm kind of like, there's so much going on and so much to talk about, you know. And for a while, I even stopped talking about politics, and I would talk a lot about my family or my wife and kids. But there's so much going on now in the world, you know, in politics. And the material is kind of pulling me back.
So what's the approach then with raising the boys and the girl
Yeah.
versus
So
the girl?
For me, the most important thing is to spend as much time with them. But the boy now is starting to want to spend time alone with me, without the mom and sister.
Yeah.
You know, but the sister doesn't quite understand. So she becomes sad, she cries. So Sundays we try and like maybe me and Deo will go for a drive. And if Aliyah finds out or finds us in the car, getting in the car, then she's gonna cry and she'll end up coming with us. But she'll do something with her mom, go do her hair or whatever. But for me, the most important thing, honestly, I don't understand how other fathers cannot or are not with their kids. Like I don't understand. I understand it happens and it's happened to other people. I would die if there was that arrangement of this weekend and that weekend.
Yes.
And then
That's
those
how
holidays,
central they are to your
not
life.
here. Because even just me traveling and going to work, now at least you FaceTime every day or you video calling
Yes.
every day, you know, literally every day. But I think for them, it's important that they see you, you know. And also you don't want them to call you uncle or start calling you uncle.
What drives a lot of men is also they don't want their child
Uncle
calling
David is
another
here.
man
Yeah.
David or daddy.
Uncle David is here, Mom. Hey, when that's your father. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah. So let's look at your wife, your relationship with your wife,
Yeah.
Talia.
Yeah.
You guys have been married 14
10 years. 10 years married.
Oh, and then dated.
Yeah, 12 years together. 13 years December, 11 years married
Yes.
December, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
And yeah, it still feels like yesterday.
Does it?
Yeah.
When you first saw her at a comedy show.
So, well, she first saw me at a comedy show.
And liked you?
I saw her at, it was her birthday. And a friend mentioned that she's going to be at some club. So one of my friends or best friends then was friends with her sister. And they were like, you must meet Thalia. And I was like, hey, Keshap, I've got a girlfriend. I was dating someone who was living, studying in the States, who would come to South Africa every September, whatever, holiday.
Yes.
That 3 months, whatever. She'd leave, we'd break up, she'd come back, we'd kick it again, she'd leave. So once she was away one time, then I went to this birthday. I was with David Kibuka, actually, when I first met Thalia, because we were coming from a movie premiere, A Crazy Monkey, which is Ronnie Apteka's movie. And I was like, sure, you want a hunter's try?
Okay,
What do you drink? What do you drink? She's like, hunter's try. The following day, I spoke to her for like 4 hours.
On the
And then
phone?
on the phone. And then I was like, listen, I'm gonna come over. And then eventually I drove to her place and we started hanging out. So this would be, I guess, December, November, no, September. Whatever, 13 years ago almost, or 12 years ago.
What happened in that conversation? Did you fall in love?
The phone calls were a little bit of interviews, obviously. You know, what do you do? Then I started picking up. She was finishing her studies at Rand Afrikaans University at Rao. So I started picking her up every day from school. Her sister would drop her, I'd pick her up every single day. I would have gigs, maybe Sun City, wherever I could drive to a gig. I'd ask her if she wants to come with. And then, I mean, every December, you go back home, you're not married, so every December she just has to go back home with her sister and be with her parents. And I think within 3 months, I said to her, you're going to be the mother of my kids. This was within 3 months after I met her. And then after a year, pretty much, I proposed to her. I tried to propose to her, because her dad is Greek, right? Her mom is Zulu. So I was getting my uncles ready to send them to Nelspruit. And the father was like, hey, hold on, wait, just the two of you come here. Drive to Nelspruit. He's like, do you love her? I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you love him? Yes. He's like, sharp, you can get married.
Oh, just
Then
like
he's
that?
like, you can ask her now. Yeah. Then now I don't have a ring. I had a ring made, which I hid at my place in Joburg. I don't have it. I'm on my knee in Nelspruit in front of a couch. There's cricket. South Africa is playing. It's raining. I'm asking her to marry me.
Your family is in Kronstadt.
Right? This was my proposal.
Yeah.
Then I had a gig I had to drive back to Joburg. Then I kept looking for times to propose again or give her a ring. You know, went to a friend of mine, Bonke Shipalana's wedding in Tsanin.
Yes.
I'm like, where are we staying? What kind of hotel? Is it a 5-star, the coach house in Tsanin? Again, there I'm trying to have like a dinner. Where am I gonna? Eventually, we're sitting at our place on my couch. I was literally watching TV, and I was like, here's your ring, bruh. You know. So for a year, then she like pretty much planned our wedding for like another year. Which she did beautifully. But it also meant when she was walking down the aisle, she'd be looking at things and grinding her teeth and, you know.
Yes.
Again, got married at Home Affairs, had a Greek wedding in Nelspruit, had a Catholic wedding, had a traditional wedding. So I'm undivorceable. I was married 4 times.
And which do you celebrate? What's the anniversary?
We celebrate the Greek wedding, which is 15th December.
Okay.
Then the traditional one was 22nd December. And I think the Home Affairs one was December 1st. So we celebrate the 15th of December. And so that would be 11 years this year.
But I've met Talia, and she has a strict side to her.
Yeah. She looks,
Disciplined,
everybody
very
thinks
strict.
she's like that. She definitely is like that.
Yeah.
Especially with our kids, I think she's a little bit more strict than I am. The kids get away with more with me than they do with her. But she's just very quiet and reserved, but, you know, on her own, she's quite chilled. Or if once she gets to know you, she's very different and very chilled.
And what does she think of you using your personal family, kids, relationship for material?
Well, she understands it's jokes, but I think she also understands that's how we make a living and that's how we have whatever we have.
Yes,
you know?
but what about the truths that
And
you reveal through the jokes?
It's, look, most of the time, it's, she'll hear from other people, oh, David does this or said this on stage, and she just laugh it off.
Okay.
Then most of the shows, or almost the only shows she come to is blacks only, you know. 'Cause some of her friends are there, some of the comedians' wives are there.
Yeah.
But I mean, she wouldn't come to clubs every night, or she won't come to corporate gigs. So some material intentionally I would do because she's not there.
Because we realized afterwards with Chris Rock that much of the stuff he was
Yeah.
doing was actually happening in his marriage.
Yeah.
And he only came out afterwards,
Yeah.
after
It is,
the divorce.
It's, so when you start, you're looking for material. So a lot of my material was about the politics. It was 1998, you know, it was 4 years after democracy. Mandela was the president. We did all Mandela impersonations, Bishop Tutu Buthelezi, elections. And then once you grow up, or I got married, then I'm now married to a half Greek, half Zulu woman. I had to have a Greek wedding.
Yes.
You know, you break plates, which are plates you buy to break. But some of my guests, Bokwela Tebza and TT, broke actual plates at my wedding after the other plates were finished. And I had to pay for these things, you know? So then you get there. Then you have kids. You know, oh, I had a kid. My daughter was born on Mandela Day, because with cesarean, you can pick a date. So my material kind of moved with my life. So you hope you don't get to like where now your material is, I'm getting divorced.
Yes.
Or, you know, but when it does happen, that's your life. So whether you want to tell a joke about going to a basketball game, or you're either driving by yourself, or you're driving with your wife, or you're driving with your kids, or the kids were with the wife at the time.
So it does reflect.
So it will reflect.
The life stages that you're
so
at.
the life, so that's why I was saying, for me, maybe I became a bit soft when my daughter was born.
Right.
And then you start wondering, oh my God, you know, this is my child, and some guy is gonna be trying to get with this girl.
Help yourself, help yourself. Don't allow the mind to go there. Don't allow it to go there. So much more to come after the break as we chat with this 20-year veteran in the comedy industry, David Gao, on Real Talk. Welcome back to Real Talk. My guest tonight is one who needs no introduction. An interesting thing that most people don't know, like we said earlier, is that we share a birthday, and that's the 18th of April. So, David, you are 40 now. Welcome to the 40s Club.
Thank you.
Where are you feeling the aches and pains? Is the memory going? Are the knees
The left
sore?
knee,
The back?
the right ear. Every now and then I must go see an ENT.
Yes. Are you waxing yet?
I go to an ENT every now and then.
Yeah.
Every literally 2 months or so.
To check your hearing?
Yeah, and then I think my knee took a strain because I have biokineticist, chiropractor for like the past 3 months. My eyes, I need prescription sunglasses now. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's definitely happening.
We're not joking. It's actually very real
Yeah.
past 40.
So a gentleman I know and a very good friend of mine, also a business partner,
Yeah.
that the Yusuf Kabelotika basically said to me, what you have eaten for the first 30 years of your life starts eating you for the next 30 years of your life. So also now changing diet, only eating meat on weekends now.
Me too. I'm introducing more vegetarian dishes.
Consciously drinking a lot of water.
Yes.
You know, whether it's in the morning, in the evening, but I would go for days without drinking water, you know, before.
But just so much more.
So now I think about it. And also just trying to now control what my kids eat more than, You know, when I was growing up, I used to put my age in tea in terms of teaspoons. So I would put 7 teaspoons of sugar,
What?
8 teaspoons of sugar when I was 8 years old, 10 when I was 10. And then you drink the tea and then there's this much sugar at the bottom left.
I'm sick of
Yeah.
just hearing about it.
To now where there's no Coca-Cola in my house, we don't even buy it anymore.
Yeah.
So my kids don't drink it. You know, if you go to a restaurant, maybe a treat nyana. So what they drink compared to what I was doing when I was
No,
growing
thank
up.
goodness for 40.
What they eat, oh.
Thank goodness for 40. Wiser and better. So Blacks Only's been going for 14 years.
14 years
What do you
out
think
of my 20 years.
the key or the secret has been about this particular property?
I think consistency in terms of, obviously we do like 3-4 shows a year. And I try to never repeat material, one. So I think people always know, regardless of what happens with the other acts, I'm kind of there to hold the show. And then what I started enjoying more was finding new comedians and just seeing them. I mean, I don't know if people know the feeling or would understand. When you take, like a Chris Mapani, you used to call me, stalk me, send me messages at night, come and watch me, I'd go and he'd die on stage, you know, or not be funny.
Yes.
And a few months later, Chris Forrest was like, hey man, you must see Chris Mapana. I was like, I've been to his show. One day, one Black Song, 5 minutes standing ovation, you know, the same guy, you know. As Kumba, who didn't have transport money to go to So You Think You're Funny auditions, right? Met him, put him on a Black Songly. He's probably now headlined more Black Songlys than anyone else, you know. So for me, just seeing those comedians, their stories, for me, their stories more than anything.
Yeah.
Of where these guys come from and what they've been through, you know. And then you put them on that stage, because the show does kind of get you out there. You know, a lot of Black comedians, nobody knows until they've been on Black Songly, you know.
You talk about dying on stage.
Yeah.
And
Which is a comedy reference or term for not doing well.
yes, yes. But
Yeah.
Seinfeld also talks about the fact that you meet another comedian
Yeah,
and you feel already chemically bonded to them.
yeah.
More than, say, someone that you've
Yes.
grown up with, a relative that you've grown up with. Is it about having an understanding that you all understand the brutality, the difficulties and the challenges
Yeah.
of being on stage? You share that experience.
Yeah, so it's all those little things. So for me, remember, I performed for just white people. I was the only Black person at comedy shows for
Yeah.
at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? Unless I took you with me or someone with me, then there'd be 2 Black people. My first show in Joburg was 4,000 people at Gallagher State, Heavyweight Comedy Jam, which my manager, Rory Quinn, and partner for Black Songly was producing. Maria Matloy and Kutlwano were the only Black people there because I met them in Grahamstown that year. And I said, guys, I'm going to move to Joburg. I'm doing this show.
Come and support.
Yes. So you have that feeling of, I know what it's like at this level, or I know what it's like to do a corporate. You're getting paid so much money, but the least laughs you're going to get will probably come from that gig, the one that's paying you the most money, you know. To actually, I just want to do comedy club, I do it for free. I leave my house, go to a comedy club, just pop in and take $300 because that's what comedy clubs gigs are paying.
So you know what the other comedian goes
Yeah,
through,
so
the
you-
mental
yeah.
warfare
So-
that they're engaged with constantly.
Yeah, so when you meet that comedian, that's kind of their focus and what they want. So they're not about the money, they're not about the fame, and you start relating to them in that way. Because it takes away half of the problems, you know, the alcohol stuff you're talking about, or doing something for just being seen and being popular, which has its own drama,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because the focus is not, I just want to be funny or to be funny. Because it's like they say about everything. When it's not happening to you, you don't understand it, but when it does, you do. If you're good at something, you will make money from it, or the money will come.
Right.
It may take years and
So-
decades.
Do you remember your worst dying on stage moment?
I've done, yeah, so I was still living in Cape Town and I had a corporate gig in M20 Casino in Nelspruit. So I flew from Cape Town to Joburg, got a rental car, drove to M20, Nelspruit, Then I got there. The restaurant is pretty much like this, open, and this is the casino floor.
People are gambling.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm here trying to tell these people jokes. And people would hold a machine and listen to me and go, grrr. Then I started walking to the different tables. And I would walk to a table, do a Mzwake impersonation, walk to that table, do a Mandela impersonation. Then it was during the Mozambique floods, right? And I'm like, hey, I had this joke. Why is Grasa Machel teaching all the black people to swim at the same time? And some woman started crying at the back because she was from Mozambique. She was from Mozambique. It was the worst gig. And I had to come back the second night and do it again.
And do it again?
Yeah.
Was it better the second night, or did you die twice?
It was horrible, both nights.
Both nights.
So there's been a couple. But again, you know, you can either die and hate yourself and feel like, oh my God. Or now, you will literally try something knowing very well this might not even work, and it dies and you're like, okay, this is definitely not working, you know, and you move on. So the professionality and the experience starts counting.
It speaks to resilience. I think it's something to be admired about comedians, that kind of resilience, even when you've failed or bombed on stage, to still get up and try and deliver another show. Well, the conversation has certainly been interesting with David, and maybe we need a break for some water or tea. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to Real Talk. We've almost come to the end of our chat with talented comedian and TV producer David Gao. If you've just tuned in, there's no need to worry because you can catch the repeat right here on SABC3 tomorrow at 9 a.m. So David, there are a couple of other projects that people might not be aware of that you've been busy with.
Yeah.
What is with this? You have a web series, South Africans in New York.
So South Africans in New York literally just started. I think we're on our second episode.
Yeah.
I've had David Gao's House on my YouTube channel for like 46 episodes now, second season. So South Africans in New York, I've been investing a lot in my social media. So my Twitter, my Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, I struggle a bit. And I've literally realized if I followed my audience and my followers and found them in the rest of the world, I could go and travel and do shows, which is how I ended up doing my show in New York last year, August. So I could literally look at my followers and be like, I have so many followers in that country, in that town, and then I try and get there and then
perform
build.
And
perform and build,
Right.
Then we started meeting a lot of South Africans all over the world, you know, I went to a Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi and it was insane. I was taking pictures like I take pictures here.
Wow.
When I'm waiting in a line to get in a club, go to New York. I had more white South Africans come to my show in New York than they come to my show in South Africa, you know. And then people start talking on social media, or I was at your show, or I'm coming to your show. And then I'll check their profiles and I'll be like, wow, this person has this story to tell. Right. Then I started finding the stories very, very interesting of
About how they
people
ended
that
up
give
there.
up the comfort
Yeah.
of living in South Africa, cheaper to live here, nice jobs, you know, they have homes, they have parents,
Been there.
and then going to either struggle to just be in New York or go and make a success out of themselves. So it's not even about celebrities or famous people in New York or South Africans. It's about literally some people are students that they had to pause
So all
on their
sorts of
studies
walks of
and
lives,
work because they can't afford, they study that year.
Yeah.
You know, some people are like brand managers working at big companies.
Yes, it's interesting that you're using social media in this
Yeah.
way, you know, as an alternative platform, say, to television. But how else is it contributing, especially when it comes to, I mean, there's a hashtag that I love, South Africa, where you just see the hilarity and the creativity of South Africans.
For me, one of the best things I think that I've had, you know, happen to me is being able to travel, especially outside South Africa. Because I think if a lot of South Africans' minds opened up and they saw what the rest of the world feels like or is like or how other people live.
Yeah.
Whether in Nigeria or the DRC. You know, in Nigeria, if you find a dead body and you report it, you have to bury the person. It's your fault. So people walk over dead bodies if they come across them.
Right.
Right? And there's no middle class. You can't get a loan for a house or a car. You know, people do everything like government doesn't exist. And you come here where everybody thinks the government must do everything for them, right? Backgrounds are different, fine, yada, yada, yada. So just traveling for me, if for those who can't travel, then maybe there's another way to say to them,
Absolutely.
this is what's going on
In the rest
somewhere
of the world.
else or in the rest
But
of the world.
you turn to it for comedy material.
Oh yeah, definitely. So for me, wherever I go, I pick up, you know, we went to Finland, me and Kagiso, we were the only black people in the whole town, in Turku, for like a weekend. So my 18-minute set, 9 minutes is probably about Finland.
Yeah.
You know, South Africans would be like, what is he talking about?
Sure.
But I would get there and I'd start from scratch. You know, if I go to another country, I'd get in the culture and the life in that town.
So,
you know,
David, what else can we expect? Are you going to be
I'm
acting
doing the
again?
Dome.
Are you?
It's all I'm doing. I'm doing Black Songly Ticket Pro Dome, August 11th. Every day when I wake up, that's what I think about and that's what
Black
I do.
Songly.
I have to sell like 13,000 tickets. It's like doing 4 Black Songlys or the capacity of 4 Black Songly shows. So it's like all the people that come to Black Songly shows in 1 year, I'm putting them in one room, in one show. Fantastic lineup.
What's your blood pressure?
I don't even check ticket sales anymore.
Okay.
I ended up in hospital, by the way, last year sometime. I was shooting It's Okay, We're Family. I had to be rushed to the emergency room. But it was because of me trying to do all these things that I do, you know. We do all these shows, you know. My production company is literally ran by Songezile on her own. So you can imagine, you know.
Right.
Obviously, we get people now and then or freelancers, but the producing, the arrangements, the blah, blah, blah.
But take care of yourself. Take care of yourself.
That's what's important now.
Yes.
It's
you're old.
trust
you're older
people,
than 40.
trust other people that are better than you to do other things for you.
Absolutely. And good luck for the show
and
in
reward
August.
them well. Thank you.
You're going to achieve this feat
Yeah.
of hashtag fill the dome for blacks only.
Yeah, I'm doing sell out the dome, so go to CompuTicket and buy tickets.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
David. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's been
Good chatting
great.
to you. I've known you for like 18 years or something.
About there. Well, thank you so much for joining me on what has been an entertaining episode of Real Talk. To you at home, once again, thank you for joining us. And we'll be seeing you again on Monday right here on SABC 3. So have yourselves a fabulous weekend from me and the Real Talk team. Good night.
That's cheeky.
Real Talk is proudly sponsored by Y-Wave P20 Pro and MTN.